Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dychronic, your host on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at the his random rolls, his inventory, and hey, how you doing? What's going on? His inventory, random rolls, and all that whatnot for October 16, 2020. You can find him in his regular location on Isle, so just head over to the Giant Scar, make your way into this cave right here, and you can find him here, admittedly alone, with no one else nearby. This is a high overview of everything that he does have available in case this is all you cared about. First and foremost, for the weapon today, we have the Queenbreaker. If you've never heard of this weapon before, it fires a long-range precision arc bolt that blinds enemies on hit. Now, I'm pretty sure this hit, to be able to blind them, has to be a precision hit, but don't quote me on that. As far as the other perks go, this big part is going to be the sight. The longer range sights actually have greater damage, but a slower charge time. The shorter scope has a faster charge time, but also regular damage. And I've actually tested the DPS of both of these items with the reload and everything encountered, and it actually pretty much comes out to almost exactly the same. So generally, objectively, you're going to want the longer range scope for the better aim assistance over range, the better damage, and the total damage. It just seems like the better option. Now, something that kind of confuses me is that the longer range scope displays ammo and charge level, whereas the shorter range displays ability energy. I'm not exactly sure what the benefit or if that was something that they thought people would be interested in, but it's there. So TLDR about this weapon is that it actually has a pretty good DPS, a pretty insane high amount of aim assistance, and honestly, it's one of those weapons that you wouldn't really take into a raid, but you also wouldn't suffer that much from taking into a raid as well. Moving on to the Hunter exotic today, we have the Lucky Raspberry. This is actually an exotic that I put in my top 10 for Hunter exotics. It does a lot of great stuff, however, there is a caveat. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Its main perk, if you've never heard of it, Probability Matrix, increases the chaining capabilities of Arc Bolt Grenade, meaning they can chain farther and chain more frequently, and has a chance to recharge it each time it deals damage. I believe each time it deals damage is a 25% chance, and a full chain always recharges, which obviously is 4 times 25%. So this one is all about the chance of instant charge, where Shinobu's Vow is more about the little bits of energy along the way. Now this is actually a really good perk. First of all, Arc Bolt Grenades are really nice. The Super Radiant Flux is both great for both kind of modes. It instantly recharges, which means you can pull off some pretty crazy stuff, and the increased chaining capabilities of the farther chaining is a lot of fun and very effective. Now here's the caveat. Hunters in PvE revolve around their supers. That is the best part about their kit. So they have Celestial Nighthawk, Radiant Flux, Orpheus Rigs, things that help make their supers better than they are. In PvP, it's all about the mobility and the health, so Wormhouse Crown, Stompies, Dragon Shadow. And that's why a lot of the times you will not see many hunters using this particular exotic, even though it is a good perk. If you don't have any of those exotics though, this is actually going to be an exotic that's going to be great for you. As far as the role goes, a priming resilience is something you don't really like to see. Discipline definitely works with grenades, however in this particular instance, because it has a chance to instantly charge it and there's no percentage of charge, it always guaranteed, it's not really that necessary to have that much discipline with this particular exotic. So overall, you'd like to see a lot more mobility, a lot more recovery, so it's kind of an averaging below average roll for a good exotic, which I apparently do not have an ornament for. Okay. Moving on to the Titan exotic today, we have the Dune Marcher. I believe I placed this as my #1 PvP exotic for the Titans these days. If you've never heard of it, increases sprint speed, which by itself is really nice to have. More mobility is always good. And when you're sprinting for a short amount of time, you build up a static charge, just like with shoulder charge. And after you melee attack an enemy, that charge will then chain damage to nearby enemies. And if you've ever seen a Titan fly in, shoulder charge your teammate, and you're like 10 meters away, and you still get hit by this lightning from him, and that chains off of you to a dead teammate, to another teammate way down the hall, that's because of this exotic. There is a huge radius, I think it really is, 10 meters. Every time it hits a target, another 10 meters to the next target with this chain lightning damage, which not only panics people, it flinches people, it kind of covers your screen, and it damages you. This is a really good exotic, and I would highly recommend you use it. As far as PvE goes, honestly, I'd rather use the Lion Rampant so you cannot fall in holes as often. It actually moves you faster, but this thing is really nice for PvP for sure. And I believe, yes, it does have an ornament. It makes it look different, and I also really like it. A lot more little lights and bits to it. That's a really good looking ornament or shader right there. Oh, look at that. As far as the role goes, I like to see a primary in mobility, recovery, and strength, and not a lot in resilience. So it is like 3 out of 4 there is pretty good. You could probably get strength made up by a bunch of other different armor pieces. So I'd say a pretty good roll, not a great stat total, but a pretty good roll for a pretty good exotic. Then finally, for the Warlock exotic, we have the Getaway Artist. And just so it looks a little better, I'm just going to put the ornament on there. This is actually going to be one of the more fun exotics in the game. I don't think it's really that good. It dropped out of my top 10 this season, but this thing is a lot of fun. All you have to do is hold down the grenade button to convert your arc grenades into a supercharged arc soul. If you've seen the arc soul from the subclass Rift, you see that there's a little auto turret on your shoulder. However, this one shoots more often, shoots more shots per volley, it has more aim assistance, and it does more damage. And also, I believe it lasts longer. It lasts 20 seconds once you use your grenade. And with that, if you also use the subclass with the arc souls in the Rift, and you use this grenade arc soul supercharge, and then walk into that rift, it actually just recharges your sentient arc soul, allowing you to keep your arc souls around for a longer period of time, allowing you to do more DPS in PvP, in PvE, kill more enemies, get grenade kills for bounties, get grenade kills for armaments and stuff like that. Like literally, go into Reckoning, use this thing, put it on your shoulder, you get heavy ammo off of enemy kills from its kills. This thing is a lot of fun, very effective, and works quite well in a lot of different builds. I even made a build. One of my first builds in my build series that I made was around this exotic. Riskrunner, this exotic, the arc stuff, you just do a whole lot of blue, covering your screen in blue. It's a lot of fun. However, it's not really that good, because the fact is in PvE, it doesn't really do that much damage overall. You'd rather have certain special weapons with a lot of damage, or certain grenade damage that you can just do in general, and in PvP, you can actually see this stuff traveling towards you, so you can very easily go in and out of cover, and it will just fly into the wall. Just like if you see Fallen shooting at you, and you see those little shots traveling to you, you can just hide from it. As far as the role goes, primary and recovery and discipline is excellent, not only for this particular class, but also for this particular exotic. Definitely a great role, not a great stat total, but a great role overall for this exotic. So if you like the idea of this exotic, this is going to be the role you're going to want. Oh, dude, yes, this shader. If you see this shader, which is, by the way, one of the current shaders of this special event right now, oh, I would get it. It looks good. Outside of that, make sure you're picking up your 5 of Swords for high-scoring Nightfalls on the regular Nightfalls, which those regular Nightfalls are going to be taken away in favor of just having Ordeals, and of course the Invitation of the Nine for some powerful gear and for some lore for your lore book, and finally, an exotic engram. Every single time you get an exotic engram here or in the wild, it will guarantee you with a high stat roll, and it will guarantee an exotic that you've never gotten before. If you, like me, have every exotic, you will get an exotic you already have. Wow. The rolls, oh, let me show you. The rolls on these items these days is just kind of ridiculous. 27 base strength. God damn. 18 recovery, 2 discipline, intellect, like these are some spiky distribution. This is why I buy the exotic from Xur every single week, because it always buys with a high stat roll, and it always buys with a very spiky distribution. Sometimes you can get those very spicy different rolls that you really, really want. And on top of that, you can also use the exotic cipher, which will, you can also use the exotic cipher. If you don't want any of the weapons from Raoul, you have them all, you can just use them on him. And that is going to be the end of the video. 10 out of 10, let's go! Let me know in the comments down below if any questions, any concerns. I'd be more than happy to help you with those and answer those. Make sure you also come check out my live streams that I have right after these videos. You can see the full schedule on screen right now. We'll be playing some Grandmaster Nightfalls today with some new friends of mine. But usually we have open lobbies, and we may also have open lobbies depending on how fast we finish that. We may do some raids. So come check it out. Link in the description down below. But yeah, that's the end of it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name is Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.